Hello, everybody. My name is Jonah from Teachable. Super excited to be here today. If you're tuning in live or watching the replay, hop in the comments. Let us know you're here. Let us know how you came here, if you're from Teachable or if you're coming here to listen to us chat to David. And in general, throw any questions you have. If you're just excited, feel free to comment as much as you want. We're going to have a short chat here today, but we do come back and read all of those comments. So throw it in there. We'll try and come back and answer any questions or just share in celebrating creators. If you're here today, it is because we are in Creator Month at Teachable. So Creator Month, every October, we try and highlight more aspects of creators, not just that you can make a living using tools like Teachable, but what is that actual lifestyle like? All the different creators that dive into using educational products to serve their audience. And today we are talking to David Smith. Welcome aboard, David. How are you doing?
Hi, Jonah. Nice to meet you. How are you doing?
Quite well. Thrilled to have you here. Thank you for tuning in from across the world and making the time change work and everything.
No problem
David,
at all.
just want to take a second before we dive in to highlight for anyone who doesn't know who you are or what you do, if you can explain a little, what is it that you do? What do you teach? And since you are in a more niche industry, I know you had a couple items as well to show us to kind of put all of your work into context.
Yeah, well, I mean, I come from a background of a sign painter, and I started my career in Torquay on the Devon coast. And I kind of did an apprenticeship well, I was 16, left school, and I went straight into an apprenticeship with some old timers. And luckily, they took me on, and it was a massive learning curve. And apprenticeships were in, and they are slowly coming back. So, that was great to be part of that. And I grew up in this area, and it's a beautiful area on the south coast. And from there, I kind of just, I was about 5 or 6 years working with those guys and just carried on, and then went self-employed. So I'm married. I got 3 daughters, lovely daughters. They're all grown up now, and 2 of them still live with me. So I haven't got rid of all of them, but no, they're all really good. And my wife, she's fantastic, and they all support what I do and what have you. But for the background of what I actually do is, like, now it went from sign painting, and then over the years I started to learn more glass gilding and what have you, and getting into some of the embossing techniques of glass gilding. And I can show you some of that stuff if you fancy it now. Little bits I can bring in if you want me to. So it gives some of the audience an idea of what I actually do and what the class is really kind of about. So, I mean, some of the background of what I started off from about the age of sort of like 21, 22, I went self-employed. And back in the 90s, this type of work wasn't kind of in. It was more kind of the cold digital, I call it, So we were doing a little bit of handcrafted work, but also doing digital work and vinyl work. So throughout that period, I was in and out of all this type of work, but, into pub signs and what have you, the old Guinness signs. People remember the old whiskey signs and things like that. And across the world, America massively, and obviously in the UK, we had all these old Victorian glass techniques. And that's the background to what I kind of got known for, really, to start with. But yeah, to start with, though, I'm going to just show you this. Jameson Whiskey is a company I worked for back in 2012. They reached out to me and asked me to design the limited edition bottle for Jameson. And I can give you, I'm trying to hold it in place so I can see this, actually. Let's see if I can. There we go. This was a limited edition bottle. This was based on a glass piece that I made for them. And it was the 3rd signature. I had a signature on there as well. They asked me, could you put your name on the bottle? And I thought, wow, fantastic. So that was a real honor. Yeah, and then we ended up making this design. And then this went all around the world on their bottle designs. It was all etched on there. I didn't have to do that part. I just had to design it. But they had me make a mirror for the launch as well. So the artwork goes onto this. And then you can see it goes into all sorts of things, really. This type of style, more Victorian, Dublin City, like style of Victorian cut glass and etchings. And then I can go on to sort of show you some pencil drawings. This is a design I made for a mirror. This is a pencil drawing. Is that in the right spot there? I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you can see that's that's completely hand done. In fact, it was smaller than this. This is a copy of the actual original. And this actually went out to Cleveland, Ohio. This is a glass piece that I'm still going to make for the guy, because we kind of designed it and we still want to try and develop that a little bit more.
Very cool.
And other design work is, I'm going to bring this over to show you. Actually, this is a glass piece I made for singer-songwriter John Mayer back in 2012. Sony Music reached out to me to do an album cover for John, and at the time I thought, okay, yep, I'll have a crack at that, and I did. And this was a glass piece I made for him at the time as well. This is actually on the album cover, and that was a fun year just to get all that work. And the album cover was called Born and Raised, and but some of the techniques here, this was just, you know, I made 2 or 3 of these actually, and a lot of the techniques that are part of the online class are on this piece here. So that's kind of why I made these panels for different clients sometimes. This is slightly curved as well, you can see there. So that was fun to do. Another design part of that as well, actually, oh, my phone's kicking off. Another design I made as well was this. This is for the guitars, for the Super Eagle guitar, which again was part of a launch, I think it was 2018, 2019 for Paul Reed Smith. And this went inside one of John's guitars, but I actually hand pen and inked it at a larger scale, and then it was reduced down. But so some of the background to some of the other stuff that I do, but it's kind of a massive range of stuff that I do with my hands there, really, with this craft. Yeah. But also, I can bring you some of the letters in actually to show you. These are some of the online class that we show. There's about 12 letters on the class itself, and then there's about 18 different ways to water gild using these different techniques. I've got to try and get used to this camera, see where I am.
No, you're all good. We can see it good.
Is that all right? So these are different techniques, processes to do with sign writing. So, you know, for people looking in that are not familiar with the actual the craft itself, these are the sort of things that you see every day, probably back in the turn of the century and right all the way up to the 60s and 70s. But it's making a big resurgence now with a lot of young people coming in, learning this craft. And this is partly why I wanted to try and teach. Let me see if I've got another one here. There's a few different types, actually. I haven't got them all with me, but these are all hand painted. You can see the mirror finished outlines. And I think when people do see this stuff, you kind of recognize it. I know, you know, big cities, London, and a lot of cities in the US now are seeing this sort of, you know, this type of craft come back because younger people are really enjoying, you know, getting their hands covered in paint and having a go at this type of stuff. And there's some amazing artists out there. So it's good to see, you know, these types of, there's a bit more, I know I'm not talking just the States, it's across the world. Australia are massively as well. Different types of letters and what have you. And there's probably a more complicated piece here. This is this is all on the class. These are. There's another one there.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
So it just shows different techniques. See, the glass is actually nipped around the edge here as well, and then the shades are all blended and what have you. It's always hard to show it in a camera. This is abalone, mother of pearl inside it with some gradients. So you kind of go from, you know, the course starts off for beginners and it goes to more advanced, which is this, and the same with other pieces. But that's kind of a background to it. I wish I could show you all the 12 letters, but there's so many of them. There's some more. You can see this different colors and stuff.
Cool. God, the 3D element of that is so cool.
Yeah, and they can put their own colors in and stuff. And the good thing with the classes is that it's obviously it's all pencil drawn. Everything's shown with this this online class, because I just wanted to keep everything in there rather than try and edit things out. We try to keep, you know, everything on the class itself, right the way from the drawings right the way through the techniques, hand painting them, and just different ways to do things really. But
very cool.
There's so many different types. There's one here which is covered in mother of pearl, but I can show you this one. Might be covered in a bit of dust now. You can see the pearl there. Hard to show it in the light, but yeah.
Wow. Okay.
There it is. Yeah.
And so now we got. Thank you for the context. So
that's all right. No problem.
So, well, first question: have you ever designed any tattoos? Because that eagle would make a sick
my
tattoo.
gosh. Yeah, I get a lot of time. A lot of people have asked me. In fact, the album cover,
figured. Yeah.
That album cover was like designed back in 2012, that's also been used many times for different parts on tattoos. And I'm thinking, how are you going to put that on an arm or whatever? And you see them, they pop up here and there, and people send me their tattoos and stuff. But I've been asked to do a lot of tattoos, and I've done a few. Yeah, I've done a few. It's not my thing, but I certainly wouldn't want to do the tattoo itself. I can see myself.
No, that's a whole.
Forget it. Yeah,
that's a whole.
Can you imagine it? Oh, definitely.
But
no.
Okay, so I got some questions for you. I think I was very excited to talk to you because you're such a great example of all these areas people wouldn't even think of starting an online course or where they exist. But first, just at what point did you start teaching this versus just doing it, as a client business? And was it in person? Like, what was that process, and why did you decide to start teaching it?
Well, I started teaching an in-person class back in 1995. I mean, I'm 55 now, so I always wanted to. I love teaching people. I love meeting people, and I thought it'd be nice to. I was taught by some really great craftsmen out in the States. There's a chap called Rick Lawson. He's a late Rick Lawson. He passed away unfortunately in 2003, but he was teaching many people around the world. But through his conclaves that he had in California, and then I went to learn with Noel Webber, who's become a fantastic friend, and he taught me a lot. He kind of one of my mentors, if you like, because I did notice that in this country at the time, not anymore, you did an apprenticeship, and if you were trying to find a job at the time at 16, 17, nobody wanted to teach you because they were trying to protect themselves from their own work, locally at least, because we didn't have the internet or anything, and it was a smaller place, so you could be sign writing a fascia or whatever, and you want to learn more techniques. I'd sometimes go up to these old guys and, would you teach me? And they said, no, we're not teaching you. We don't want to lose our business. And so that's what I had to go through at that time. And so I thought to myself, it'd be nice to teach and keep this craft alive as best as I can. And there's a lot of people around the world teaching it. And so that's when I started to teach on the in-person classes. I started back in 95, and over this, and I've never stopped doing those. Apart from this last year, has been so busy with commissions and stuff, I have to just take a bit of a step back on that, and I'll start again next year. But I just wanted to get it out there, really, and that's what I did. And I think to date, I'm over 3,500 people worldwide I've taught, which is really good, and really, and they became friends, and you meet so many really lovely people. And the good thing is you learn so much from them as well. You're always learning yourself, even being a teacher, So that's such a nice thing to do with classes and what have you. And then I think from there, you can only show so much in 4 days or 5 days. And I thought to myself, it would be nice. I obviously before COVID, I think everyone was thinking, God, what are we going to do and stuff. I was always teaching and doing my commissions. But then somebody said to me, why don't you try and expand it and put it online and try and show people that possibly can't afford to come on a class, or, they might be out in, I don't know, New Zealand or wherever, and they can't afford to come all this way. And then you've got to get a flight, and you've got to get guest house and whatever you, and pay for the course. So I thought it'd be nice to try and teach it online. So I got together with my daughter, Lauren, and she helped me. And, I thought I was just going to maybe do 2 or 3 letters to show people, because I thought there's going to be a lot of that, isn't it? We're going to take our time and create some cool letters. In the end, I said to her every week, I said, look, I kind of want to do one more. And she said, well, you can't do too many, because people are going to be signing up to like 100 hours, And I thought, I kind of wanted to give their money's worth as well, and so we started making these letters, and I went to 12 letters in the end, and then every letter was different, and we progressed from a basic letter right up to quite a complex letter. And then I said, well, let's just do 18 ways to gild as well. So that was another complete class within that class. And then I thought, I've got to show them how to sign write and hold the brush. So then I started doing another hours of sign writing in there. And she was saying to me, and I thought this is going to take 3 or 4 months, and it took us 1.5 years to film it. And it really was. And she edited, she did all the editing and stuff, and did a fantastic job. And Yeah, it was done naturally, and it was done on an iPhone and an iPad, and it was filmed really lovely. We kind of tried to get it across that when people sign up, is that it makes you feel that I'm with you and I'm teaching you, in your same room, and it does really come across like that. So yeah, that's the way we went about it. And I remember just dropping the brush on the floor, and I picked it up, and my daughter said, "I will probably have to edit that." I said, "No, let's keep it in there. We can show them how to clean the brush." So it was kind of like, rather than trying to edit out too much, we just pretty much kept everything there so that they learned the proper way, and nothing was missing. So compared to an in-person class, you learn a lot on the in-person class, but you can't. I remember doing a class myself years ago when I went out to the States, and I was writing everything down because it was before any online services, and I was writing everything down in a book and pages of it. And I remember getting back to the UK thinking, what's all this? I mean, I can't, what did I do there? And, and maybe I have to ring up. And so that's why I thought an online class is that once it's been filmed, it's there, and that you can stop and start, and you can see everything over and over again, 52 hours of it. We didn't have that facility. So I remember coming back and just forgetting everything.
Yeah. So, and then when you built the course, you put it out. Yeah. What was that like to start having people all over the world, assumingly, involved? You hinted at it, that interaction of student and teacher. But what was that like when you started having that experience?
Well, that was fantastic, because you're starting to get, I've been sort of advertising it for, I don't know, maybe a year, thinking it's going to be coming out next month. And I think every month came by and said it's next month now, and it's because of these letters. But the experience then was to put it out there, and once it finally got out there, everybody absolutely loved it, and I was getting such great feedback, and people were leaving Google reviews and stuff. And unfortunately, I think it was something like, I don't know, 50 odd Google reviews, and then 20 were removed by Google for some reason, and then just by mistake, and now I've got to try and fight to have them back. And I said, but this is a legit company, legit business. Where's my reviews gone? But anyway, I got them back. But yes, it was just wonderful to see people making these letters themselves. And this was people that, there was one guy called Jason Skinner, and he's in Australia. He's an accountant, and he'd never lifted a paintbrush or anything like that before. And he's turned out to be becoming some fantastic letters he's been making. And there was lots of people like that would just wanted to have a go at this sort of craft. And they're not all sign painters. I get so many messages from people that have really enjoyed this experience, Jonah. So yeah, it's a really nice feeling as well, because you get these lovely little pictures that they send over to you, and you got to try and keep up with your Instagram. And it's, I'm not a tech person. I feel a little bit behind it. So sometimes I'm wondering, am I doing this right? And I have to ask my daughter, say, is that correct to post that? Can I do,
But that's
this is a new world today.
Yeah, but that's it's so cool. You found a way to package this pretty, ancient may be an exaggeration, but old art form.
Yeah, exactly. It is, yeah.
Which also seems like nowadays, maybe it's growing now, but it seems like getting an apprenticeship doing this now might be pretty difficult or just costly, right?
Yeah, it kind of is for some people. Like I say, my experience of sign painters in this area where I am, there's nobody. There's just digitally done now, and it's all vinyl. And in the right hands, if it's in the hands of a good designer, vinyl lettering, and it looks fantastic, and it can do. But the sign painters, they're few and far between. In this area alone, I think there's like a population of nearly 100,000 in Torbay where I am, and there used to be at one time like 50, 60 sign painters, and now there's probably one here. I don't know. It's not just me. There's two of us. But I don't do sign writing on walls anymore. But it's a bit of a dying craft back then. But it's coming back now with the help of people like the Heritage Crafts and all these young sign painters. Internet is fantastic. If I had that back in the 90s, it would have been fantastic. But at the same time, I felt like I was doing more work back in the 90s, because you feel like social media does kind of slow you down as well. So it's got its ups and downs, but with social media now as well, with Instagram and all these different sites, it really does help you get out there and put your name out there and get some really good commissions and stuff, and meet some lovely people. And without that, and without people like you and Teachable, people would never get to see what can be done and how they can change their careers even, and I think that's what's happening with a lot of my students.
So how I'm curious, you mentioned that like a cool part is learning from the students. Can you point to some examples or moments when like a student blew your mind, or something a student did that?
You mean from the online side of it, or the in-person as well, or anything really?
Start with the online, but open to any. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think there's quite a few actually. There's like I said, there was Jason Skinner. There's the guy called Ross. I can't think of his. I think he's called Ross Tasty, I think his name is. There's some different Instagram accounts and stuff. Will Lines as well. There's another guy in Australia that he's taken the class. There's so many that I could think of that pop up, and they send me a picture of their the piece of work that they've done, and it's just it's blown me away. They don't have to completely copy the format that I've got, but the letters that are on the site, the 12 letters, are all there for downloadable, so they can copy those or they can create their own. So when you see one of their own, you think, whoa, look at that, that's great, made through that process that they've followed on the class itself. So yeah, very impressive, very, very impressive. And the same with the in-person classes. I've met some amazing artists that you stay friends with from all different ages, and I mentioned Will Lines there. He came here in 2011 and became friends, and he's doing some phenomenal work. A guy called Jack Hollins in London. Eddie Bennett, artist, amazing artist, doing some phenomenal work. And you learn from all of these guys, and Eddie's gone on to do some great work. So, it's just endless. There's some guys in Dublin, Dara's name over there. But yeah, and even some of the older generation, there's a chap called Pat Pasquale. He's in Colorado. And I was teaching Pat some brilliant cutting, which is another process, but this is like an in-person class, and making mirrors and stuff. And Pat's, I think he's about 70, Pat is, and he came on a class back in 2018. And he'd never done it. He's a potter by trade, he was, and he come into the in-person class, and wow, he's just taken it and run away with it. And he's passionate at that age. It's like he's like 18 again, it's he loves it. Yeah, no, it's fantastic as well. So yeah, very interesting meeting all these different people. It really is.
Yeah. And is your just for a view of what it's like for you and your students, is your online class, do you do live elements, or is it all self-paced? They do their own thing? What's the experience like?
Yeah, it literally is. They do their own thing, but they, for you mean for the online class? Yeah, exactly. Yes. That.
Yeah.
I do a silvering class as well, where it is 1-to-1, and that is live, and they're making mirrors, But for this process, I thought, yeah, that is really cool. Actually, that's involves chemicals and what have you. So it's you need a 1-to-1 with that, because you've got to guide them through it. There's a little bit more to it. But with this online class, yeah, no, they can literally take themselves right away from the beginning, and there's all the materials there from all around the world. So I did my research trying to find out the best places, because over the years, even though we had all these old paints years ago, they were the best because they had all the horrible stuff in them, but they had to discontinue making this stuff because of health and safety. So you're just trying to find the paints that are going to be good enough to put on glass and what have you. And so I had to find all those different addresses and contacts, America and Australia, just so that when people do sign up to the class, even Germany, obviously, and Spain, Italy and stuff. And the cool thing is, a lot of the students say, look, I found this new area in my town that sells, I don't know, one-shot enamels or something. And so then I'll try and add it to the class itself. So yeah, no, it's great to put it out there, and so people can just use this class. And it's always the way, because you're trying to explain to people that this is what it's about. And even though it's a good class to go on, obviously with online, not everyone's into online, but most of the people that have said to me, I'm not sure whether I want to go online to learn this. I think I'd rather come see you. And I said, well, I can't see you for 2 years and blah, blah. And then they've ended up doing the online. And they go, oh, God, I wish I'd done this before, because now they realize it's not quite like, I don't know, it's not quite like an online experience, really. It feels like it's, those people are with me and they love it. They really do. So, it's been a good experience for me and for all these people, because you're kind of like connecting with complete strangers that you get to know over the internet. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I working for Teachable and talking to so many creators, I've always been wildly impressed with it. It is like the best side of the internet, right? That you can take
Yeah,
these very tactful skills or techniques and share them across continents. Like
absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
the good part of the internet. It's
That is
really,
so right. I mean, I remember going to I had a holiday, just a week with my daughter, actually, in Barcelona back in I think it was January time, and I remember walking down the streets in Barcelona, the main street. I forget what it's called now. As Ramblers, I think they call it. And then off that main street, all these little side streets. And I was looking at signs like you do, because the old glass and the typography, if you're into all that type of thing. And I was seeing new stuff coming back, because a lot of the younger people are replacing some of those old signs that have been there 100 years. Yeah. And so that's where I see there's a lot of people I got to know in Barcelona. There's a guy there actually that took my silvering course, and to see what he's been doing is just phenomenal. But that's kind of all over the world. You start seeing bits of work coming back because of the internet. It really is. It's really helping those towns, especially those types of places. Seeing those old signs that have broken down, they've been replaced by people that know how to do it now. So
huh? That must
yeah,
be so cool to actually, be out in a city and see that work slowly coming back.
absolutely. Yeah, totally. Um, Again, as I say, Instagram is, once you're connected with a lot of these people that are into this craft, you see their work, and it's mind blowing. It really is. It's just beautifully done, and seeing that coming back is everything. Yeah, it really is. And not just this craft, loads of crafts, lots of crafts. So
Yeah.
I'm seeing that we're dying, coming back into fruition and stuff. So it's kind of nice to see that. It really is.
I saw a funny stat the other day that was saying it was about like baking online classes, but it was saying because of these online classes about baking in the pandemic, that there is now more sourdough being made on a weekly
Oh,
basis in the world than like
that's
ever
nice.
having been made before.
I can
And
see it.
it's
I can,
wild.
yeah,
It's cool. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. I understand that.
Yeah.
Totally get that. Yeah, and that's well, it's the same with, like, even, I don't know, it's piano playing, or I don't know, all those types of things. You can learn all this stuff on YouTube as well. So
Yeah.
it's got its place. It really has, and it's helping a lot of people. And it's good with the
Yeah.
people that are actually helping the crafts as well, the ones that aren't, doing it themselves, but there's organizations out there. Over here, we've got a place called a company called Quest, and that's behind. They're just helping young people come in, and they're giving grants out and stuff to people to come on different classes and stuff, not just with me, but with other things as well. So those types of people are keeping it alive and helping generate more handmade work. So that's beautifully done. But with what, like I say,
Yeah.
with what you guys do, well, it's also trying to find with right at the beginning, I was thinking, oh crikey, where am I going to put this class? How am I going to? And then I did my research, and you guys popped up with Teachable, and it was just the best way to go, because it was such a great platform and so simple and so easy to work. Not for just uploading videos, but for people that are actually coming in and viewing the class itself. Everyone said, "Oh wow, what a great experience!" It's not complex. That you just come in and you can get on with the course, and you can leave it where you're at for like a few days, come back and go to the same spot, go backwards, go forwards, and yeah, just take your time with it. And I think that's the beauty of Teachable. It's a nice platform.
Well, I'm good. Thank you for saying so, and we're happy to have
Right.
you. And it is unique to, I think we experience definitely a continual question and just commentary about like online versus in person, but it is incredible how
Yeah,
much people can learn in a self-paced education where they're a little more in control. And then also how, since they have to motivate themselves through it, you also feel a little more ownership over that information, I think.
Oh,
My
absolutely.
experience is, yeah, I dig in more. But we have to slowly wrap up here, David, but I did want to ask you a couple more questions.
Yeah,
First, I was
no problem.
curious, at this point where you have your course business running, I know you were saying you're interested in maybe making more courses here and there, but I would love to just get a little look into a day in the life for David, especially
Oh,
because
right.
it's very easy to think of, there's a lot of marketing around course platforms as like, you can have it be your full-time income, you can be a course creator, but we're also very interested in the reality is most course creators, it's just a part of their business, it's a part of their life,
Yeah.
and it's an amazing compliment. So curious, like,
Yeah.
yeah, what is a day in the life of David at this point?
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? Because I think being a creative, you can never sit still. You've always got
Yeah.
something on. I'm thinking about the next commission, or I'm thinking about the next. Well, that would be nice to do. I'd love to get into prints, making some beautiful ornate
Ooh.
prints, and that's one thing I'm going to go and look into doing next year. And I never really had the chance, and I should get into that. So that's one thing. Commissions, always interested in different types of commissions that are going to be coming in. I've had some fantastic ones recently. In fact, I fly to America now in the next, this coming week. I've got a big job over there, which I'm overlooking in Bar Harbor, of all places, over that way, which is Maine,
Oh,
in the
cool.
Maine area. So that'll be nice for the 4 days. So you never know where it's going to take you each day. So next week I'll be flying over there and, doing some work there. So yeah, it's always different, Jonah. It really is. And if I can get any time, I like to spend time with the family, of course, and try and get the odd holiday going. I don't know, wherever, Italy, whatever. But yeah, no, I spend a lot of time building my business over the years, and it doesn't feel like work. It feels like a hobby, continuous. You're going to get those days which are a bit more stressful than others, but I've enjoyed what I've done since I started when I was 16. And I wouldn't change it, wouldn't swap it for the world, really. And I like to keep cycling. I look a little bit of bike riding now and again when I can. Even though this is a really hilly area, we got hills everywhere. But the good thing is we've got some good pasty and cake shops, and that's the main key to this.
Something to bike towards, right? That's
we've got to go to a cake shop somewhere. But my daily routine is kind of it changes, and and that's the beautiful part of the work that I'm involved with and the people that I'm involved with. And I enjoy it. I really do, this craft. I really do.
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap up, David, for today. Thank you so much for chatting with us. I hope we can have you again in the near future. And for everyone watching, thank you for being here. Hop in the comments. Let us know what you think. Make sure to check out, in the description is David's website. Go check out, the video quality isn't the best here, so the pictures on the website are so much better to see kind of what he does and the actual art, and to take his course if you want. And if you have your own passion that you want to take online or see how you could do that, there's also a link in the description and the comments to check out Teachable and see how you can create your own online course and build this kind of life and passion for yourself. David, before we wrap up, I just open it. Do you have any last parting advice as someone who has now built a course for someone who is just starting or wants to build a course that can make it easier, or any mistakes or good things you did to share?
I think the main thing is obviously the camera equipment. That would be good. I mean, I'm using an iPhone. We've got a lot better. If you've got something that can edit it for you, even better. I mean, my daughter's been doing it, so that's fantastic. And just put the time in and just try and get everything so spot on. And that's kind of where we didn't want to miss anything out. And I think that's important. And if you know your stuff, it's going to be good anyway. And you know the background of your own craft, and just enjoy it as well. Even though it took a year and a half, enjoy making it, because I really enjoyed making it with my daughter, and we had some fun doing it. And I mean, I should have kept some of the bloopers, like when I nearly did do that. I nearly kept some videos of some of the stuff that we were doing. It was like, we can't show that. We got to do that again. But just enjoy it, really. I mean, it's a great experience, and yeah, and you meet some lovely people on the way, and that's the main thing. Is you're sharing what you do, and they share back with what they do. So you're always learning. So it's great.
Love it. Well, thank you so much again, David. Thank you,
Nice to meet you,
everyone,
Jonah.
for watching. Yeah, and everyone, please like and subscribe to the channel if you had a good time here today. We're doing more and more live events and just sharing more and more creators' stories. So hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you for tuning in or watching the replay, and we'll see you all soon. Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.